All right, so Casey Turner from Norman, Oklahoma asks, on conditioning days, I struggle to keep my heart rate down. On my Apple Watch, I always seem to be in zone 5 for most of my workout. Is this normal, or is there a way to help regulate my heart rate or better on conditioning days so it doesn't stay so high for so long? All right, Casey, so I'm going to assume here for this little response to your question that there are no underlying like heart irregularities. There are no genetic predispositions to anything irregular with your heart, and that you're perfectly normal. And I'll give my advice through that lens. This is contradictive in a way, but the number one piece of advice I have is to exercise more and go harder for longer, because the harder you go for longer, the more your heart rate is going to be lower when it's resting. So engage in that activity, and as long as, like I said, there's no underlying issues, push your heart rate, push it. Your heart's a muscle. It needs to be pushed. Now you can practice deep breathing if you start to feel like it's getting a little bit too high. And I think that's might be where you're getting it. But as soon as you feel like you're in control, go push it back up again, as long as the underlying conditions allow you to do that. So 3, 4, 5 big deep breaths. We call this the 5-second rule at Burn. So if you're going, and I come up to you and you're breaking and I'm like 5-second rule, what I really mean is that you have 5 seconds. Really, it's probably more like 10 to 15, to be honest with you, to take 2 or 3 big deep breaths to re-engage with yourself and to go again. So try to do that more and be intentional. You could also practice deep breathing outside of the gym. If you don't already meditate, I think meditation is a beautiful form of deep breathing that also has so many psychological, mental health, emotional benefits as well. So you can kind of kill 3 birds with 1 stone. If you get into some meditation, it will help your heart rate stay down. You'll be more in control of your deep breathing practices. Simple things like reduce stress. How do you reduce stress? Realize that every time you have a thought of frustration, but going back to the big gap we talked about earlier, that frustration is not your thought, and you don't need to grab a hold of it, and you don't need to express that emotion in the moment. Let it go. That's the number one piece of advice. Stay hydrated. Reduce caffeine if caffeine makes you feel anxious. Reduce alcohol if alcohol makes you feel anxious. Reduce marijuana if that makes you feel anxious. Reduce things that make you feel that way is my point, I guess. And, just manage your stress overall. And managing stress will bring down your cortisol levels, which will have amazing benefits hormonally throughout your system. But that is generally speaking, if you're healthy, what I would direct you to do, and continue to keep track of it. I like that you have your Apple Watch, and I like that you're also in zone 5 for most of your workout, because on conditioning days at Burn, we're not in the classic fat burning zone like you used to see on like the late 90s treadmills and say like stay in the fat burning zone or the athletic conditioning zone. I mean, we're VO2 max training. We're conditioning. We're not cardioing. We are not exercising. We are pushing a demanding level of training that you wouldn't do otherwise on your own. Like this is you're going to want to have your heart rate get up as high as you can. You're going to want to push it, because that is what's going to make everything. It's going to help you breathe. Number one, breathe harder. And we all know, if you listen to the podcast, the more you breathe, the more body fat you're going to lose. We don't turn body fat into muscle. That's not how it works. Body fat breaks down, CO2, you breathe it out, and a smaller percentage of it is excreted out through the other end of your body.
I feel like I just took a really big breath there after you said that, because I was like, I need to.
The more you breathe, the leaner you're going to be overall. So let your body. Yeah. Listen, I'm serious. If you are somebody that has the time built into your day where you value 10 minutes of some actual like non-meditative breathing, I'm not talking about following your breath up and down,
fire breathing,
and staying detached and letting go. I'm talking about what Bryce is talking about.
Show us.
Fire breathing.
Yeah.
Okay.
You better be ready to catch him.
I know. Okay. If you catch me in my office doing that
he's
later.
He's holding it.
Oh, okay.
Oh, and go again.
Okay, I'm done.
How do you feel?
I'm going to pass out.
But you just lost. I'll
just brace you.
Burned some fat though, right? You just breathed it out.
I have more energy than I had 15 seconds ago.
Okay.
I'm alive. I'm well. Woo! Let's go.
You did it.
How's it going, everybody? You guys doing good? We
Yeah.
good? How's the
Yeah.
episode so far?
I
We
thought
like
I was
it?
gonna
Great.
Can you
get
see
like
us
a-
though?
Yeah.
I thought I was going
We
to
are
get like
here.
a 2-breath demonstration, and he went for it. I like it.
Yeah, no, I'm all in.
Listen,
I
yeah.
have 3 times a week, maybe roughly on average. I'll stop. It's not scheduled. It's random, and it takes like less than 3 minutes, and I'll do 3 rounds of that. 20 hard deep breaths all through the mouth, because you have more that can come in, more that can come out. There's other reasons to breathe through the nose for the lymph system. We'll go into that later. But breathing heavily through the mouth allows you to go breath in, breath out. You get out of breath real fast. Hold it as soon as you get to 20. 10 seconds at the top, or 3 if you're starting, and then do another 20, hold it, and do another 20. Just be sitting down, because you might pass out.
Good disclaimer.
Yeah. I don't want you to pass out, but you might.
Well, you would not be proud of me because I don't pay attention to my heart rate. And maybe it doesn't matter. I don't know. You just said you were proud of her for knowing that she was in zone 5 and tracking
Can't
it. Maybe.
manage what you don't measure.
Exactly.
Beamer.
Yeah. I can tell you a story. One time when we were in spring training with the San Diego Padres, we did a fitness test where you put a heart monitor on and you had to run a shuttle, and then you had to wait. So they were testing how long it took for your heart rate to get back into a certain zone. And I was anxious because basically it was like a sit down when you got there. And so you're just looking around as other people are sitting down, and so then I feel like my heart rate was staying high because you're like, why is mine not coming down? And that was, that's the last time I really took a deep look into where my heart rate was.
Got some PTSD.
Except
from
for,
heart
when I'm
rate
getting
monitoring.
checked up. No, I mean, it's not intentional, but
Yeah.
it's just, maybe I'm just a caveman still, and I'm not just up with the wearables technology.
What's your relationship with tracking, measurement,
Yeah.
tracking your progress?
Yeah. So I used to be really obsessed with my Apple Watch. And then I found that it was, there was like this joke going around for a while that if you didn't wear your Apple Watch, it's like your workout didn't even count. And I was like, I need to get out of that mindset, right? Because that's not why I'm showing up anymore. I'm not showing up for a specific caloric burn during camp. Like, yes, that's important to me, and it's important to move my body and to know how I'm performing. And to your point, especially about heart rate, yes, if I found that my heart rate was consistently in this where I felt not great volume, I would want to maybe measure it a little bit more. But I just found that I was like, trying to close my rings every day, which is, again, not a bad thing, but it becomes this almost like, depending on who you are, this relationship that's not positive, and it changes your goals and your outcomes for why you're on your fitness journey. And so I stopped wearing it. And it's like, since then, my goals in the gym and why I show up for myself have changed. Now, that's my personal relationship. I definitely think that every person should do what makes sense for them. And I've been thinking about maybe getting back into wearing my Apple Watch more now that I kind of know exactly why I show up for myself every day, and that I don't have to compete with how much calories I'm burning, or that workout didn't even count because maybe I didn't burn the same that I'd burned the day before. Or maybe I forgot to turn it off and it's been going for 1,000 minutes and my heart rate is still carrying on thinking I'm working out. But ultimately for me, I think showing up for myself, doing those in-gym PRs where I'm picking up heavier weights, I'm able to carry more reps, I'm able to have longer endurance while running or doing, some sort of plyo movement where my heart rate isn't scaring me. It's that to me is how I'm keeping measurement of myself. And I honestly think the things that we do here at Burn, like our monthly focuses for programming and the streak challenge where we can track these things, like to me, that's where I show up for myself with tracking and measuring for my goals in the gym.
Yeah, I was the same way. I found myself just becoming a little too obsessed with wearing my Apple Watch. It was like, okay, I got to close my rings. And I would like walk laps around my house. That sounds so silly, but I'm just like, no, I need to do that thing.
Yes.
Because then I have like set the goal, or like I have completed the goal that I've set for myself. But some of the goals that I put on there were
outrageous,
ridiculous.
Yeah.
And there was no way that even with walking 10,000 steps that I was going to hit these things, because I was just like, I just got to push my body more and more and more, and not in a healthy way. And so I've been able to kind of rekindle this relationship with a Apple Watch, a wearable device, and use it in the ways that benefits me. So I was like, okay, I know I need to get my steps in a little bit more. If I am wanting to, lose a little bit of weight, I'm working really hard in the gym, but I find myself like coming back down, sitting at my desk and just trying to knock things out. And then I'm not moving as much as I really should be.
Yeah.
So when I get home, I'm like, ooh, okay, I probably should take the girls on the walk or go bounce on the trampoline with them or do something so that I can hit those smaller, just movement goals, and not necessarily like, oh my gosh, I didn't burn 650,000 calories today. I
Yes.
better go for a run.
Yeah.
And then I remember wearing it too when I was pregnant, because obviously you have to keep your heart rate within a certain, not distance, but measurable.
Yeah.
And so I would wear it for that. But then when I wasn't pregnant, I would find myself being like, okay,
Don't
I'm
need
good.
it
I don't
anymore.
really need it. And
Yeah.
I will admit, I don't really I understand why you need to have your heart rate high to burn those calories, but I guess I don't really understand why it would need to be like so consistent over time, or is that actually a good measurable that you should be focusing on more than another one?
When
I just don't know a whole lot about the benefits of why you would want your heart rate at a certain, or if it's
Yes.
too high. Is that bad, or is that fine, or is it just how your heart ticks? But to your point, it sounds like if there's no other underlying things, like maybe you just need to push it a little bit harder.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're going to say something, Kayla?
Yeah, I think it's also too, a lot of times I think when I was focusing on heart rate, it was only when I was working out. But I also think if you don't have a good understanding of what your resting heart rate is, or what your, like low energy levels heart rate is, then sometimes I think it's to your point, like, well, what is really too high for my body? Like if I naturally have a higher heart rate, like, am I really high? And so I think it's very person dependent. And I think, Devan, I think you just nailed it on just like continuing to show up, continuing to do those things that are keeping your heart rate up, because that's going to create that endurance and continue to help to, maintain your heart rate over time. So I think that's great. And I think it's still important to measure if you feel like it's really high. But I also think this is just a really important moment to just make sure you're engaged with your body. How is your body feeling? Like, yes, your heart rate is high, but you do want it to be high when you're doing conditioning exercises. It's really important. But if you're not feeling great, then yeah, take an audit and take a beat, and then maybe say, maybe I do need to measure this a little bit more because it's consistently really high and I don't feel great. Okay, let's assess
that makes sense.
Okay, so I'm gonna give us a formula.
Okay.
Are we ready for this?
Yeah,
so
we're
that
ready.
so that we can put some science behind this. Okay.
Let's do it.
And I did just use GPT real quick to check my math, but doesn't. I just wanted to make sure the number was 220. Okay, so here's how you do this. All right. So first of all, a good resting heart rate is between 50 and 70. Let's just call it that. I'm not saying 72 or 74 is bad, but you're starting to get up to where it's bad to have a high resting heart rate. You want to have a low resting heart rate somewhere in that range.
Right.
Okay. So now here's what you do. You take the number 220. Everybody got their calculators out?
No.
Should we get them out? Okay.
You should get them out.
Okay, let's get
You're
them
going to
out.
do this. We're going to get all your ranges right now.
Okay.
Okay. Everybody at home, get your calculators out. You're going to do the number 220 times your age.
Well, I turned 31 on Sunday. Should I put 31 or should I
Round
put
up.
30?
Round up. Excuse me. 220 minus your age.
Okay.
Sorry.
Clear it out.
220 minus your age times 0.9. Remember that number.
0.9 or 0.09?
0.9,
Okay.
Okay.
representing 90%. Okay. And then take that same number, 220 minus your age, times 60%. What are those ranges?
I'm lost.
Kayla?
Mine was 113 to 170.
113 to 170. Okay. 90% of your heart rate is your goal. That's 170. Don't let it ever go below 113.
While working out.
In a
Okay.
workout.
Yeah. Perfect. Great.
Okay.
I love that.
Bryce, what's yours?
50 to
Well, he did his math wrong.
Yeah. I was like, that's really
220
low.
minus your
220
age
minus my age
times 0.6.
times 0.6.
I thought you said
no,
0.9.
sorry, 110 to 165.
110 to 165.
Yeah,
Are you younger than me?
Okay. That's it. That's the range, and that's the calculation. And so
I'm not good right. I'm
We're
not
not-
good right now.
yeah, we're not gonna get to 200. We're not gonna get to our 100%. Okay,
Right.
nor do you want to. It's pretty hard
Yeah.
to get to 90%. Here's the best way to get to 90%. Does anybody want to know the best way to get to 90%?
Yeah.
Run 1 mile as fast as you can and accelerate with every step. Like
Okay.
maximize all of your effort. Sprinting is going to do that because you use every major muscle group in your body.
Yeah.
Right. It's the ultimate full body conditioning exercise, but sprinting for that long requires you to reach that VO2 max for sure. So there's a little trainer 101.
That makes sense.
I'm not good right now.
Where are you at right now? What's your resting heart rate
So
right
I'm
now?
a little, because I just gave you guys, what was the range? Where I say 110 to 165, but I was looking up what's normal resting heart rate, and it gives you beats per minute, and my beats per minute is 70. So that's why I was trying to rethink the math.
Yeah, that's
good.
But because I got 110 to 165, so I was like, I was looking at the math being like, did I do that right?
No, so then when you start exercising, you want to get up above 110.
So that's getting so driving it up. Okay, got it.
Yeah, so
I didn't hear you say.
So think about burst training. It's a perfect example. Some of the work we do in the gym is called burst training. And during burst training, in order for you to gauge how hard you need to work, you take 220 minus your age times 0.6 to represent 60% for the lowest range of heart rate. That's where you want to be in burst training when you're resting.
When you're when
you're resting.
Okay, got it.
You want to breathe deep, get there and resting. And then when 3, 2, 1, go, 220 minus your age times 0.9 representing 90%. That's going to be the peak heart rate you want to get to. And the efficiency, the reason burst training works scientifically is because the undulation in the heart rate. Makes sense? Do you follow me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That was a great tip.
Yeah.
Thank
a good
you.
one?
Yeah, that was really good.
That was a really good one. Okay. We're going to clip that one out. We're going to share that one with people.
Yeah.
You and I will have to do this later because you started doing it and then I was just gone. I felt like I was in high school again.
It's okay.
I cheated in a lot of my math classes.
It's not math.
It's not my strong suit. No, you start going fast and then I was like,
I missed
I'm gone.
this is where you want to be when you're working out. So when I landed at 110 to 165 and I was like,
unwell.
I'm at 70. I'm like, let me check this formula. Let's make sure.
I made it to the point times 0.9 and then I trailed off from there.